Welcome back to the Greenfinch Project. Today I'm going to be working on the primary feathers, and again I have a very sharp 4H and 2H Faber-Castell pencil. This is a flight feather. It's designed to be more resilient and resistant to the push of air, and so its structure is much more sound than the light feathers which are on the underside of the finch. What is important is that the strands of hair-like shapes that build up the feather are pointing in the right direction. Now when I started this feather, they were I began them in the wrong diagonal, and I had to correct that, and I corrected it with embossing, and then by shading with an oblique pencil to bring out the raised and sunken shapes in the embossing, and then by going back in again and drawing individual filaments that make up the structure of the feather. It's a detail that I really want to establish. So I'm using the blending stump again to try and get an even coating of tone as well, because if you look at the photo, the feathers have this kind of uniform grey, which is the colour that I'm looking for in my grisaille underpainting or underdrawing in this case. So back in with the 4H, picking out little details on the edge of the feather to give the illusion that they're broken and more raggedy and less uniform, and again reinstating with a 4H all the individual barbs that form the structure of this secondary feather, I think it is. Anyway, I've got the diagonal going the correct way, so from our direction it's heading sort of southeast on this side, southwest on the other side. A little bit of blending, and the tone is modulated across the feather as well, so it has a kind of rippled effect. So I'm trying to create that by lifting out with the pencil eraser, and of course sweeping up immediately after, because we don't want the residue to interfere with the drawing. And again, on to the next feather. And this is a process, strengthening the edge here. This is a process that I didn't know. I haven't done this for a little while, and I'm trying to figure out things as I go along. I don't know sometimes how to approach the drawing problems that I face, and that's actually part of the attraction, because if you know how your artwork is going to turn out before you even attempt it, what learning takes place during the process? So by doing this, I discovered a kind of method that works, an embossing method that works for the feathers and creates the texture that I'm looking for using this thick Sea White's Bristol board. It wouldn't work very well on thinner paper or thinner cardstock. You'll find that the Bristol board is thick enough to be able to do this. But also Bristol board has the disadvantage of being extremely smooth, and so if you want texture, you have to build texture in. So that's why I'm using the embossing tool. Again, more individual filaments or barbs on the feather, applied with a kind of sharp flicking motion, smoothing out to get the tone, the graded tone that I'm looking for, and then probably lifting out with a rubber or eraser pencil to try and get the modulated tone that I'm after. Also, from time to time, I strengthen the leading edge of the feather, but in a broken way, so that it gives the illusion that the feather, the individual barbs of the feather, could actually peel apart. So it can't be a solid straight line, it has to be broken to create that illusion. After a while, I became comfortable with the process. It's one that I might want to practice again. If you look at the wing, even the dark areas are not solid blocks of black there, it's just above my right hand fingers. You can see at least two dark areas, and even they are built up with the same kind of embossing and barbing technique that I'm trying to develop here. Because it adds visual interest, it makes your drawing appear much more detailed and much more intricate work. So I do this for all the secondary feathers and now the primary main flying feathers that I'm working on here. Again, you can see the kind of flicking technique. This hasn't been speeded up at all, so this is the actual rate. So I was quite pleased with the result. I'm guessing that with over time and with a lot more practice, I can become more effective at this. Also, the feathers have natural kind of breaks in them, so as you go along, every now and again, although they're short flicks, there's an extra long one that creates a nick or a V shape out of the feather to create the idea that the barbs in the feathers have peeled apart a little bit. And when birds preen, that's what they do, they straighten up all these imperfections and, you know, join them all together again to create the ideal feather. So more blending again, and again consulting my reference here. I suppose the most important skill that an artist can have is one of observation. You have to look very carefully and think about what it is that you're drawing, what is the nature of it, and then what technique or approach are you going to use to try and recreate that effect. Now I can see that my video is coming to a close. Thank you for joining me on this installment, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching.